We had nothing but rain. Here he is, 5 minutes.
Ready?
5 minutes. No,
Are we ready?
Please start.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 10th, 2017, and revised via email on June 19th, 2017.
Thank you, Katie. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Coles.
Here.
Let the record reflect Deputy Mayor Miller is absent at the moment. Committeeman Lichtenstein.
Here.
Committeeman Ackerman.
Here.
Committeeman Delia.
Here.
Thank you. Tom, it's all
Yeah.
yours.
Number one, in the blue folder, everybody,
Which blue?
The aquamarine blue.
This one?
Yeah.
This is mine.
This is yours, this is mine.
well, that's not the meeting,
packet
yeah,
for
the meeting,
downstairs.
yeah,
This is
that's not mine. The aqua turquoise, anyway, number one is, it deals with Washington and Pine Street. I put information on there for one of the committee people that wanted me to put it on there. It deals with a road, if you go back to the picture, on the third page,
Oh, yeah, I'll take this.
okay.
One of the big issues on Pine Street was the intersection of Washington and Pine. Folks we needed to widen it. When I asked engineering to look into this a couple of months back, Jeff took it upon himself happily to look at different alignments and suggest that since we own Lot 843-1, it might make sense to realign the road to where Vine Street would come out. It would also give us much more land to make sure that we have proper left, right, and straight lanes, and it would line up with Vine Street so that when we do hopefully get the permission to put that through.
I think it's a great idea. But wasn't there supposed to be something on the other side also?
Outside of
In other
what?
words,
On Washington?
This only
Spruce.
has spruces further south of this.
But wasn't this road able to go all the way down and connect to Vine on the other side of Spruce also? Didn't you have that mapped out? I remember you showing that to me.
No, I don't remember that.
It would have to cut them.
Oh, no, because, right now, if you would come down Pine Street, right? You make this right, you follow this new squiggly road, whatever it's called, we'll call it Vine Street. And then Vine joins up with Washington.
Correct. And
Now-
then the further south of that is where Spruce is.
Right, but now, when you hit the corner, you still gotta make a right and a left.
Yes.
If you want to stay on Vine, yeah,
Yeah,
but, you know.
so there is a piece of property there, that you showed it to me, Mayor, that you could do this to go back
Okay.
onto Vine. Why don't we do it all in one shot?
I have to look back into that. We'd have to, I think that's the buffer between Lakewood Commons and the rest, which we probably could. I'll ask Jeff to do it, but
Yeah.
my concern on this was that I wanted to come up with a solution for the folks.
Yeah, but
Over
if
here.
we're doing it already, we might as well just have a Vine Street that goes straight through. The answer is yes, I'm fully.
Well, we can't have Vine Street, it'll have to come down to
Yeah, I'm
Washington and
talking
back
about it.
around.
But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna have Vine go like this, and like that.
Because Washington also picks up now across Spruce.
At the
And
entrance
it
to Lakewood
deads-
Commons?
Right, it goes up to the entrance to Lakewood
Okay,
Commons.
so we could, well, that's right.
But I don't see how it would make the jog, it would go onto Oak Street, not onto Vine. No, you're right, it's onto Vine,
Go on to Vine.
I'm in a
Yeah.
different world tonight, okay.
Yeah.
1 second, Mayor, you're saying that Vine should come.
Vine could go around, I guess, Base Kayla. Could just go
We
around.
have
and
property that
continue.
could go, that
I
could
think
go-
so, I'm pretty sure.
It would probably have to cross Spruce. You know what, I will ask them to look into it,
That
but
would be the way to handle that.
If I remember correctly, I remember the mayor showing me that we
That
had
would be a
property
good way to
there.
handle that.
yes,
Yep.
I agree, it might be a good idea, but as far as what's in front of us now,
I'm 100%
do we
on
prefer
board.
to switch over to line up with Vine, or do we want to try and take Washington and make it wider there?
No, I think this is much better.
I do too. Isaac, what do you think?
Do we have the funds?
I'm fine,
Not
I'm
this
fine
year.
with it, and, on this topic, I'm fine with it. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that we once had a bunch of people that came to the meeting, and they were complaining about us extending Vine this way.
No, they were
I don't
complaining
know.
about the potential of putting Vine through up here.
It's the people that live in here. The people, where's Vine? Oh, they live somewhere here.
That's fine, that you have your finger on, yeah.
Yeah, so they live here, so I guess.
But
it's
that
these
wouldn't
people-
affect their neighborhood
Wouldn't
at all.
affect them, okay.
Just the
Because
opposite.
there's no, they'd have
It
to
would
go
take it
out.
around their
Right.
neighborhood.
I definitely think it makes more sense this way,
Okay.
and we'd save a traffic light
Mike?
eventually also.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right. Manash, this was the realignment, rather than coming up and widening Washington, to realign it with Vine? All right, Tom, would you give this to engineering and ask them to put proposal together for the next cycle?
Okay, for 2018.
Yeah.
okay.
And they said there's nothing wet there?
Ray, we're gonna do it.
Spacing out.
We're going across our own property. They need to do the research to make sure that it's all dry and okay. I mean, it says the good news is, although limited wetlands and possibly floodplain makes it south of Pine, this roadway would be permissible. So it's the area above that's the
Wetlands.
issue. Right.
It's
The
such a
Vine
great
Street
idea.
extension is what's still
Can I,
in flux, right?
can I ask, Mayor, that while we say yes to this, if it's possible to do the whole thing in one shot, let's just get it done?
Ask Terry to also see if it's possible to then realign Washington to Vine south of Spruce Street. But that this definitely, I want them to start working on, because either way, we're gonna go ahead with this.
Realign what again?
Washington to Vine,
South
south
of-
of Spruce. I don't know that that's
Doesn't
gonna
make-
happen, but let's look at the
Raise it a
possibility of
problem
doing
that,
it.
that Mazer's doing this zone.
South of
Is that any
Spruce.
problem?
No, not at all. If this gets done,
Right.
that's the whole reason for bringing
Do
this
it-
over.
Exactly, so this could be done now already.
Yeah.
Well, next year.
This is not being done because of Vine necessarily. This is being done to take the pressure off Washington. We would put a light over here regardless.
Beautiful.
And then we can talk to the folks here about whether we close off Washington altogether and have them come out like this.
Beautiful.
Or we just leave it for them to come up there.
Beautiful, this is wonderful idea.
Okay.
Wonderful idea.
All right, so let's go with that and see what we can do.
All right. Number 2 is
Thank you.
Chamber of Commerce letter.
a geo grid for 74 units. Someone came to the engineers and they want, it's locust development, and they want us to, if you take a look at, read it, the applicant's engineer has submitted a design where a portion of the segmented block retaining wall and the associated wall geogrid will be located under township roadway right-of-way. Typically, we do not accept this type of right-of-way. However, the applicant has designed the site to the limit where the roadways are proposed, leaving very little room between the outbound of the track and the roads. The zoning board did approve the roadway layout, which is a justification that the engineers provided. We do not object to the proposed design since the wall geogrid will be located underneath the paved cartway of the roads, and only a very small portion will be under the sidewalk.
I don't even know what a geogrid is.
Did our engineer look at it?
Yeah. That's
What is a geogrid? What does that word mean?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Um,
Geogrid?
I know, it's slipping my mind, hold on, I'll tell you in a second.
Google it.
What?
He is.
Google it.
I
I
am,
don't
I
know what the
am.
word means.
Google's my best friend.
We all need one.
This is going up already, is it not? This is the old golf course?
Oh, forget it, Mayor.
Well, is this the old
I don't know-
driveway?
I don't know.
It's a-
understand
Mayor,
what
it's
this
very
means.
simple. It's a geosynthetic material
Oh, okay,
used,
go on.
used to reinforce soils and similar materials.
Okay, so it's a retaining wall. Geogrid just means that that's the material they're using to build the jet train, well, I never knew that there was such a word. Okay. So geogrid is the material, the associated wall geogrid, I don't know. Is that what it says, geogrid's material?
Yeah.
Material to what? To reinforce the ground?
To do a, I guess it's some sort of a natural material.
Tom, I don't think anybody has a really good understanding of exactly what this is supposed to do. So why don't you put it to the next meeting and have somebody from
Can I-
engineering come down here and explain to us exactly what they're talking about?
Can I,
What the ramifications of doing it or not doing it would be?
can I just say, Mayor, if, I guess it would be good if it came back, but I'm also fine if the engineer feels that there's a reason that we should be doing this.
The
and that
engineer feels we
property.
should do it because the zoning board said that they could. That, to me, is not confidence
All
that
right,
it's not
so
gonna
bring
have a
it
problem
back.
down the road.
I would like, yeah, I would like
Alright,
a better
bring it back,
interpretation.
bring it
I'm not
back.
happy with the zoning board thing.
Bring it back, bring it back.
Okay, the next on the agenda is off. Number 4, the mayor asked me to put this back on, attic all street parking.
So it says number 7.
Where is this now?
This one right here.
Okay, if you recall, a while back, we received a letter from the planning board asking us to make changes, 3 changes in town. One is to address attics, that habitable attics would be included as a potential bedroom in the calculation of parking requirements for a house. I think we talked about that and everybody was okay with it. The second item was parking in commercial areas, where right now, the requirement is 1 spot for every 300 square foot. Planning board had suggested bringing it down to 1 spot for every 200 square foot. Cedar Bridge Development is currently zoned at 1 spot for every 250 square foot. I felt that a good compromise would be that we adopt Cedar Bridge standards and change it to 1 spot for every 250 feet. So that was, we talked about this before. Again, I want to make sure everybody's on board with it. The third item, which, is that paperwork here?
No, this is the only thing I could pick up on.
All right, so let's do this. Let's move ahead with these 2 if everybody's in agreement with it. The third
Where does it
item,
say something about 300 and 200? Yeah, I don't see it.
this is only the first of the 3 that we had talked about.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this was an ordinance that was prepared kind of ahead of the game.
So did we agree to this ordinance, you're saying?
I'm asking us if we do agree to it.
Harold has information.
Yeah, I prepared the ordinances roughly on what we did, so everybody could take a look and see where we were going with it. So that's what I have here and probably what's in your packets as well.
All right, so my
So this would
Statement
mean
is
that
then-
a typical house that has a finished basement, forget the attic for a second, would need 4 parking spaces, correct?
Mhm.
Is that what I'm looking at? Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's when you have the 9th bedroom.
But what's I'm not understanding the attic. An attic that has a stairway as a means of access and egress.
There's 2 types of attics that are being constructed in town now, for the most part. None of which we've been able to find have an outside entrance and are being rented as apartments. So I want to put that on the record. But what we're concerning ourselves with is the construction of attics that can be used for living space. Mike Sacamano, the planning and zoning folks, we all got together, and the consensus was that habitable attic is considered any attic that has a regular staircase going up to it, not a pull-down ladder or one of those fold-out stairways. And that if they have a habitable attic, that should be included as 1 bedroom in the calculation of the house.
Well, wouldn't a habitable, I don't understand, if it's a habitable attic, it would have a bedroom there, so it would count as a bedroom.
It means if you have a 36-inch stairway, even if you don't have bedrooms, then it still will
It's
count
one
as-
big room, in other words?
Mhm.
What is it? What do you walk up the stairs and what do you
It's
walk
not
into?
finished at
It
all.
could
Rough
be
space?
Oh, you're
unfinished
saying
right
that it's
now.
gonna be finished at a later date?
Right.
So,
This was a request from the planning board, so
Is
that's why I
it
wanted to
fair,
make sure.
is it fair to say, I don't know, it's such a hard guessing game, is it fair to say that there has to be a window up there? Well, what happens if somebody,
yeah,
you
have
understand,
a
what
problem.
happens if somebody wants like a.
Storage.
A storage or a loft for their kid? I personally,
A
let's
loft
say
for
in
their
my
kid,
house, I don't have stairs that go up. I have
Right.
the yank downs.
So yours would
And
not
I
be
can't
considered
go
a
up there because
habitable
there's a weight
basement.
limit on the ladder.
You gotta be careful with that. You go through the floor
Yeah.
too, and it's really not
No,
gonna be
the
nice.
floor, but the floor has plywood on
I'm
it.
talking about the main floor.
No, so they mirror, so they can make a 35-inch, they can make a 35-inch staircase, then it's not considered habitable attic instead of 36, but they won't be able to get a permit for a bedroom up there.
So that's what I'm saying. So if they're gonna they're gonna do it properly, they're gonna have a bedroom anyway. If they're not gonna do it properly, so you're not helping. That's why I'm not, so you're just saying that even if you don't do it properly, at least you have a parking spot there.
Exactly. You can't go back and put the parking spots in after the fact.
Who was asking for this,
Planning
to the
board.
chair? The
Planning
planning
board.
board?
The planning
or-
board sent us a letter requesting these 3 items be addressed.
I mean, it makes sense if people are actually putting the bedrooms up there, but if people using it for storage or for kids to hang out in, you know, a loft or that kind of thing, so then is
So-
it fair to
so-
force them?
I'm just looking at it from my background, that, God forbid, there's a fire on the first floor.
Right,
There's only one way of getting out of that 3rd floor, that's down that stairway.
right. So you would want to encourage people to put
Not to.
proper stairways there?
Well.
So the
probably
firemen
I-
could get up, you mean, or no?
Yeah, I would rather have, truthfully, I'd rather have some kind of egress stairs that come outside.
How wide does a cartway have to be for a fireman to go in the full gear? Is that 36 inches?
At least. At least. I mean, depending on the size of the fireman, we got some big firemen. And when you put an
There's
airbag
a
and all
code,
that
isn't there
gear
a
on.
code? There is a code.
Let's not start disparaging our firefighters.
No, they're very good. I want to protect them, not disparage them.
No, guys, this is not,
Can I say something?
not right now, please. I'll open it for a minute, let's get the discussion through. This is not us encouraging or discouraging. This is us acknowledging a fact that houses are being built with attics that a lot of people are turning into bedrooms, whether they're to code, they have to be to code, and I imagine they have to have some kind of an egress window or a dormer or something, I don't know for sure. But what we were asked to do is to take into a fact that this is happening in town, that one of the biggest concerns people have come to us with in the last year is parking and traffic and whatnot.
I agree with that.
This agrees with
I
it.
fully agree with that, but
I don't
here's my
think we are
question.
financially hurting somebody by saying, if you're gonna have an attic, you have to take that into account when we calculate how many parking spaces are
But
needed
like
for
what
a
Isaac
house.
just said, what you're going to, I have to think for a second, but I'm talking before I think, which is probably not smart. If you're gonna encourage people to build narrower staircases or not to put windows because they're trying to save a parking spot, then you keep defeating.
But this isn't the people who are living here. These are the builders who are putting up the houses. You know, these are being designed with the attics there. The end user can say, okay, well, I want to be able to use it, put a staircase in.
So actually, basically, we're saying that the builders are getting approval to build a three-story house, put a bedroom in the
No,
attic.
what we're saying is that they're getting approved to build a 3-bedroom house maybe, or a 4-bedroom house, when in reality, there's an extra bedroom in there. And that can't be retrofitted backwards as far as parking goes. We're trying to take into account the concerns of the people who have to live there after the developer moves away.
So a habitable attic would require an additional parking spot,
No, it would be included in the calculation for the number of spots that are needed.
which is an additional spot.
Whether
it
you put
could
the
very well
bedroom
be.
up there
That's
or
what it
not,
says.
you have to
Habitable attic
have
shall be
parking
considered
places.
one bedroom. Oh, you're right, not an additional spot, it's only considered one bedroom.
So not necessarily is it a spot,
Right,
it's just a bedroom. You can see how many bedrooms you have, that's how many spots you have.
I'm good,
So am I.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Let's move ahead with this one of the 3.
The habitable,
Yeah, okay, we don't have the ordinance for the second one,
First
but,
meeting in July, Mayor?
yeah, why not, if it's ready for it.
We should be able to do it.
I'm sorry, did you want to say something about it? I will open it up to you since,
I know this is not open usually to the public, but I have what to say on this because I have a little bit of knowledge, because I initially brought up the subject with attics. The reason for them is just to promote legal behavior for the end user. Because what's happening is the developer doesn't calculate that in his calculation, and then the end user, if he doesn't have enough parking, comes to get approvals, and they're saying is you don't have enough parking, he'll do it illegal. So the point is, they're coming into an inspection department and they're saying is, oh, it's not a bedroom, it's an exercise room, when really it's a bedroom. So to not, to promote people of saying the truth and leaving it the way it is, they're just calculating it in the calculation to begin with, like this, the end user has no reason of not coming in with
Doing it the
proper
right way.
inspection and doing it the right way.
thank you.
Making it legal.
Okay, the second of the 3 items, we're only going to discuss 2 tonight because I don't have the paperwork for the third, and that's probably the most contentious of the 3. So what's the feeling on changing the parking requirements for the commercial and industrial buildings from 1 for every 300 to 1 for every 250?
Well, I'm assuming that they're saying it because.
Because there's too many commercial buildings going up with not enough parking.
Not enough parking. Yeah, so if that's a fact, then I'm good with that.
Who sent this, planning board?
Planning board requested it. Now, Steve, correct me, if we do these, we have to send them back to the planning board, right? So I can expect the planning board to say, why are you doing this? You're a bunch of criminals?
It's a development regulation, which is about as broad as you can get, it goes to the planning.
All right, good,
Our
so they're
planning
gonna
board
go.
members are good, hardworking volunteers.
I agree 100%, I'm just
reappointed.
responding to what I was called. So, okay, we good with this then?
Yeah.
All right, so prepare the second. Harold, if you could track down that letter that came from the planning board at the next.
I can have it. Do you want me to-
Well, no, I'm saying, I don't want to do it now because I don't want people to have to read it and make a decision. Is copy that to all of us again, and let's put that on for discussion for the next meeting. That would be the parking for the schools and schools and stuff like that.
You just want it on
Not
the
right
agenda,
now.
you just want it on for discussion?
The conference
Yeah,
meeting.
we
We'll
need
discuss it up
copies so
here
I
and then we
Put it on the
can
agenda.
bang it around.
Right
Yep.
next.
So the second one, Mr. Mayor, the second one is the B2.
Right, the, going from 300
First
to
two stories of
250.
all non-residential and B2 are exempt from parking requirements. and
No, that's got nothing to do with what we're talking
That's
about.
not this one?
No.
Okay,
The planning board letter had 3 requests: attics,
right.
commercial parking, and parking for religious institutions. So the one that we're talking about is the second request in that letter, which they initially asked us to go down to 200, but we're going to do 250 since it's consistent with what's going on with Cedar Bridge now.
Gotcha.
Okay?
So you really gotta get all the letters.
Yeah, I've got it.
I have it.
I have them too, I don't know if it's here, but.
All right, number 5 is 4520. Isaac, you want to handle that?
This was brought to the committee about a month or so ago, or 2 months ago, I don't remember. And his request was to open,
With a walking gate,
right, to open a fence, because they back up to Pine Park. So we were shown an aerial view where it looked like they would have to walk through a bunch of woods. And people said they're worried about, people on the committee said they're worried about security. But the gate, the fence actually backs up to the perimeter road that goes right to the baseball field.
Could we send this, I remember this request, could we send this to DPW and police for their opinion?
Sure.
I thought we did.
No,
I also thought we did.
no,
but
we
he's saying
didn't,
it's
we
a
didn't,
no.
because on the committee, people were concerned, so.
Well, I asked Pat Donnelly about it, and they were dead set against it.
That's what I thought,
That was
that's
my
why I'm
next
asking.
question.
I
You
thought that
asked that,
DPW and the police were not
that's
happy
what
with
I
it.
thought it was.
It's a security issue, and it's a liability
Got a real
issue.
liability cost with that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, but.
No, no problem.
Okay, next on the list, number 6, Mayor, do you want to talk about plan endorsement? Or
Do I
no?
want to?
You
I love plan endorsement.
have me put it on.
I did. So, we were at the commissioner's office. We had some follow-up conference calls. And the commissioner's office, I should say, the commissioner was not on the conference call, gave us some deadlines of what they would like to see done. It's, sometimes it's good to be pushed because it's a lot of intense work, and it's causing us a lot of stamina. Not it's causing us, it needs a lot of stamina for us to get this through. The nice part is that if we hustle on it, we could be done before the end of the year, and we could settle this. I just want to let the committee know about it. What I did ask was, Harold was on the conference call with me, I did ask the commissioner's office that if we provided them with what we thought was realistic and they were not satisfied with it, they need to tell us right away, and then we have to make a decision if we want to continue to move ahead. If we do feel that they're going to work with us and what we feel is realistic, then we can continue working. I just feel after all these years, after 10 years, and we might be coming to a much closer conclusion than what we had in the past. I wanted to update the committee. I mean, the other thing we could do is walk away from plan endorsement and just tell them, what you're asking is not reasonable. I don't know if it's unreasonable, but it's.
Well, they didn't meet for 2.5 years to get back to us with needed
No,
information
the
either.
planning commission could not get a quorum for 2.5 years, that's correct. We currently have a request into them to do a extension on the 18 months. We asked for 6 months, they said they might give us 3 months, so I'm gonna find out more on Monday. The downside to plan endorsement, we can speak to our planners, the downside to walking away from plan endorsement is there's really a lot of good open space that we put in there. There's a lot of water protection, some.
We have the 3 ordinances on
We have some
tonight.
ordinances on tonight. We have some good wellhead protection ordinances. And doing that comes at a cost to some private and public properties. And what happens is the plan endorsement process and the cores and the nodes and all that stuff allows for that to be made up, for any loss about that to be made up on other properties. It allows. So if you take an area and you really do a good job protecting it, and you're a private property owner, for example, you're encouraged to protect that because it allows you some relief on CAFRA regulations, not on zoning regulations. Zoning is still up to us. This is CAFRA, basically, CAFRA regulations. But what will happen is after the plan endorsement process, we will be asked to adopt some zoning ordinances that will be in line with some of those CAFRA requirements. It's a good process if we could get it through, in my opinion. If we
We've
can't.
got 10 years into it. We finally got their attention, and they're actually talking to us rather than not answering us after, because I know how frustrated you were for years trying to get it done. So if they call you next week and you feel that we can accommodate what their requests are, and they're willing to work with us, I say we keep going with it. Worst case is if they say no, there's still ways that we can protect a lot of that property regardless. And, you know, I
Okay,
hate to see you waste 10 years worth of hard work.
okay.
Your hair was all black when you started this.
And I'll do all those Tuesday phone calls.
Thanks.
And he weighed 130 pounds.
No, never.
That was in ground.
Never. Never.
Yeah, when he was 4.
Do we have a contract with CK for the year?
Not for long.
Can I ask Mayor a question?
Sure.
Is there any talk about, and Tom and I spoke about this, and I mentioned it to the mayor this morning, is there any talk about trying to get out of CAFRA? Any builders talk about it? Should we talk?
I haven't heard about it. As you all, you know, Brown's Boot is, you know, that story with CAFRA?
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
There was talk when I was on the committee way back.
Mhm.
There was talk.
Maybe
They
then I
felt
weighed
it was
140, yeah.
unfair. They felt that
And
it
Mike
was
had black
unfair
hair.
that we were under CAFRA.
You know,
They were trying then.
I just feel the township is in prison for a crime we never committed, and I don't think it's fair, and we should really look into it.
I don't know if we get anywhere with a lawsuit, but I'd like to find out from Singer's office if he thinks they would amend the legislation, because you know the way the line goes.
That's exactly
Yeah.
the way they were going back then.
The story has it that it was revenge on the senator in this district that they
It
were
was.
ticked off at. And
They
called it
included
Brown's
us
Boot.
because they didn't like
Russo beat
Senator.
him, so that's all right.
What's that?
Russo beat him, so that's all right.
All right, let's do it this way. We're this far along. We're probably a couple of weeks from knowing whether or not we're going to continue or not. Let's not worry about trying to fight to get out of CAFRA to find out if they're going to work
No,
with
I
us
agree,
on
I'm just
this.
curious as to.
If they walk away from us, then I think it's something that we can look into.
Right.
But for the time being, we've got all this, there's no need to start a fight.
I agree.
There'll be a new
Okay.
administration in January. Hopefully, they'll work with this as well, so.
All right.
Right. Number 7 is a letter I received from 105 to 111 Marina Lane. It deals with restricting parking along the entire eastern side of Marina Lane. And so what I did is, before the... Huh? 7.
Capital infrastructure.
Yeah, let's hold off on that for right now.
On what, Rena Lane?
No,
Number
number 7. This is 8.
Number 7, you're on.
7, you got 8, you got Rita Lee.
Right,
He
that's,
skipped over 7.
Yeah, I skipped over 7, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, so I had Frank work, go out there and do a study of it. And if you read Frank's letter on the second page, he put together some information about it.
Did somebody go to the property owners that abut, that will be affected? Is there any, are there any houses that have frontage right where, are we talking about eliminating parking in front of somebody's house?
There's a map there.
I know, but I can't tell if that's the front or the back of the house. It looks like it's the front because I see decks in the
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
if
would
it is
say-
the front, I think at the very least, we need to talk to the property owners, because when they bought a house, if they thought they were gonna have parking directly in front of their house, and now we're just gonna take it away from them, we need to make sure that they're okay with it.
How many parking spaces per house do we have there, do we know?
this
I
looks
don't
like it
know.
might be in the back, Mayor.
I can't
It looks
tell.
like it looks to me that the decks are against where Rena Lane is in the back. Well, you know what, the front is Route 9. So you ain't
Just the
parking
opposite.
there.
It looks like the decks are facing Route 9, you see? See the, like, 4 decks back there?
What I'll do is,
See?
I'll get a hold of this individual and tell him,
Well, ask Frank, Frank
Yeah,
did
ask Frank.
the study.
Okay.
Ask him to just check and see if any of the, affected homeowners were contacted
well, I'm
about
gonna
it.
find out, the person that sent this, which side of the street he's parking on also. I didn't even think of that till
Is there
now.
parking on both sides now?
Yes,
Did Frank take into consideration emergency vehicles getting down there?
I'm sure he did, Mike. but
Excuse me 1 second, I'm sure he did, I don't know. I'm gonna be inside, can you wait? Hello? Hello? Sorry, just one of my kids.
No, it's okay.
They
They come
usually don't
first.
call me by
All right,
name,
I'll
so
send it back to Frank.
There's one other thing too, guys, while we're on the.
May I say
by the way-
something? On this, if Frank says that there are no homeowners that are affected, or he says that the homeowners are fine with it, and from my perspective, I'm okay if it just comes back for an ordinance. We don't have to discuss it again.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's one more thing also,
Man,
the
I'm
cover
okay with
page, the cover page says that as per resolutions, at the time of the approvals, we were required to ask the township to restrict parking along the eastern side. This was supposed to be done as part of their approval. It looks, I don't know if it was an actual condition of the approval. I don't know if it's part of the resolution compliance and it slipped through the cracks, but
Well,
could be it was conditioned, the whole approval was conditioned on it. But I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either. So,
It's a resolution from 2002.
Right, so that means
So
it should have been
wouldn't-
done at the time.
It would, yeah, this wouldn't be in effect right now anyway, you're right.
okay.
Okay, let's just double check, and if it is set, bring it back.
All right, number 9 is traffic study counting.
Yeah, that's me also, Mayor.
It's all yours.
Thank you. So, I was at another meeting with some people from the county, and the same, if you remember, well, you wouldn't remember, Tom, but when we did Route 9, we did the HD6 and HD7 zoning for the widening, for the future widening of Route 9, which, as an aside, that NJTPA meeting that you're having me go to, or that you asked somebody to go to and I volunteered to go to, is actually going to be the beginning of the study to widen Route 9, just so that you know that's what it is. But anyway, the county has roads, County Line Road, for example, where they're looking at eventual possible widening. And the DTS, the desired typical section, I think that's what it is, right-of-way that's needed is sometimes gets encroached upon by building, because right now there's one right-of-way, and in the future there's another right-of-way. So I asked Jeff to speak to the county to find out if we are along any of the county roads, if we're looking toward the future, are there any setbacks that they would prefer that we held? I think he got them. My question is, can we transmit that to the planning board and zoning board so that when people come in for the approval process along the county roads, they hold back on that right-of-way? Most of it is already in what would be considered a right-of-way, I think, or an easement. I'm not, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's what the county said. But I just want the boards not to be thinking about what the current right-of-way is, but what the future is gonna look like and what they want there in a short couple of years.
Can we
So-
instruct that, or do we have to legislate that?
Why would we have to, why can't our engineers just tell the other it's a county road, it's not our legislation. Why
What happened,
can't,
Mayor, what happened with Route 9? But with
We-
Route 9, you had the same thing, and at the
we did
planning
the
board level.
zoning, because we said that
We
if you're
zoned
the
HD6,
HD6, HD7
to
zone,
ensure that right away.
right,
is
you
never
have
touched.
to do this and this.
So I mean, we
So
would have to
until,
do the same thing.
maybe,
We-
I
we
hear,
could
but
do
maybe
the-
until we legislate it, we could at least explain to the professionals that that's what we're looking for.
I have no problem sending it to them, but can they be, my question is, would they be bound by it if we said this is what the county and the township wants?
Would who be bound by it? The
Either of the two
planning-
boards.
Well, it depends on what the ordinance is.
Well, we don't have an ordinance right now, that's what I'm
So if you
saying.
wanted to legislate, it, yeah.
Is there a reason not to try and put an ordinance together for it?
I don't know if you have to notice everybody, is that considered a major change? You have increased the setbacks off the roadway in the zone? If it is, then, I
I
don't
don't know
know.
whether I'm missing something.
That's a material change anyway.
It was a change in the character of the zone. That's the notice question was.
All right, could you guys research that and get back to us?
Well,
And-
God tells us it's a reclassification.
Well, in the interim, until we research it and vote on it, Mayor, can we at least have the professionals tell our planning and zoning board professionals to ask the boards to hold off, to hold.
100%.
As much of the right-of-ways as possible?
Get the information from engineering as to what roads are affected and what they have to be, transmit it to both the planning and zoning board engineers and attorneys and everything else, and let's make sure that they understand it. And if there is a lot that needs to be noticed and it's a huge expense, we're only a few months away from the master plan ordinances, we can adopt it as part of them. No, Mayor?
Yeah. I was gonna say, if we're gonna do it, that we should make sure that the planning board knows to talk about, or maybe we should transmit a copy of this to Justin so that he can include it in his final master plan report. Can we get that done as well, Tom? Have Jeff
I
tell
agree.
Justin what we're looking for so that it could be included in the final master plan report, so that if,
Jeff, yeah.
so that if we, in fact, if it is considered a character change to the zone, it doesn't have to be noticed then. We don't have to go through all the noticing because it will be done with the master plan, which is wrapping up now.
You'll send that in?
Harold, do you understand what I'm asking?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It doesn't increase density or anything like that. Just say that before.
Why think
No, it's just increasing the right-of-way to make sure that we don't have to start taking property when we want to widen the roads. Exact same, that's why I'm thinking that HD 6, HD 7 could be expanded to those county roads, or possibly even Route 88.
I think that's,
Yeah, that would save us.
Were you was your question, your proposed question, is that we can't mandate the planning board and zoning board, but we can recommend, is that what you meant?
Yes, I wanted to know if our letter saying these are what the right-of-way should be would have any legal effect.
Right.
Or if it had to be in the form of an ordinance, and that's what I was just told. So, in light of the fact that we're going to be doing all the ordinances over again as part of the master plan, we can include this as part of it, but let's at least get the information to the both boards so that they understand what's going on.
Good.
And, you know, we'll go from there.
Yesterday,
All right.
Next one,
10.
number 10, is for Menage Park reservations.
Yes, yes. We spoke about this briefly. You know, with the summer schedule that comes up right now, with the fact that we have a meeting now, maybe the next meeting might not be until mid-July, and the next after
July
that is
13th.
July 15th, and then after that, it's like August or something,
August 11th.
August 11th. So what happens is,
The resolution's on.
I did the
oh,
resolution.
beautiful,
You guys
done.
asked
But I
me-
mean, you can
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, just explain to the
Explain
camera.
what the philosophy of it. The philosophy is that what happens is that typically what's supposed to happen is a letter comes, somebody asks Public Works for a park request. Lisa will look into it to see if there's a vacancy. Once there's a vacancy, then the person fills out paperwork and gives it to the clerk. Once all that paperwork, then it makes its way up. Then it has to come to us for a vote. What happens is sometimes you had certain schools that what happened is it's not a formal, a huge school outing where you have 100 or 200 kids coming. A teacher wants to take their class out to the park today, 30 kids or so, and they decide this Friday we want to do it next Friday. And there's no township meeting in the interim. So this will give the clerk's office, Lisa, who says it's vacant, the clerk's office, that the paperwork's in place, the go-ahead, it's not
Actually, the
necessary.
resolution says the manager will sign.
The manager.
Right,
There
well,
you
they
go.
gather the information, and then
Present
Tom
it to
has
the
the
manager,
authority to
sign off.
approve it
Exactly.
for the small gatherings.
Now, what I
Right.
did, I did not limit it or to any membership. You had originally told me to do it with 150 or 250.
Right,
I said,
right.
you know what, just give the manager the authority.
The authority to do it. This
All
way
right,
it's up
without
to.
any
Exactly.
numbers in it.
Another thought I had as well, it's not nothing to do with the resolution, but in general, I thought another thought, which is that we have some of the bigger schools that are constant users of the park, and I actually called up as per Katie, and that is, beginning of the year, we require the schools to have a rider on the insurance to name the township as the insured on their policy. And so what I've asked, I spoke to two of the schools already, get your policy, what we wanted to know is, do they call up every time they use the park and stick our name on it? Or in the beginning of the year, they just add the township onto it, that in case they're at the park and something happens. Obviously, the lady who answered the phone did not know the answer, they're gonna get back to us. If indeed the case is that it stays on for the entire year, what I'd like to do is create a roster, so to speak, of all the schools, send us your documents in the beginning of the year. This way, every time you're reserving a park, it's not the whole rigmarole all over again, but this way we have on file per year of exactly what your insurance documents are.
What they really need to, because I have to do this a lot for my
Yeah.
customers, is just add them as an added insurance.
Added insured, yeah.
Which I think
And
is
if
what
they're
it
on
is.
there, then we have it, it's good for the year.
And
Actually
the
saves
school
them
can
money.
make 40 copies of it and just
Right,
hand it in every
because I
time.
think it's like $100 to do it once, but it's like a $30 or $40 fee with the insurance company each time you add one.
Right, so I think
But
to have it on for the
But
year.
if we have it at the beginning of the year and it covers us, they would only have to hand it to me
One
once.
time, that's the advantage.
Right, we
That's
just
what
be able to have a
individuals-
checklist that we are
Right,
listed as
we
an
already
additional
have it.
insured,
Correct,
when
correct.
that certificate
Correct.
expires, so that we can actually just
Exactly.
send them a letter at the beginning of the year requesting a
What
new
you just said
certificate.
is my only concern. That if, what happens is, let's say they switch insurance companies, and the clerk's office doesn't know about it, then there's no insurance.
Well,
If the school hands it in, let's say the school gets one insurance, they make 100 copies and they put it on the desk, and then they hand it in every time with their permit.
I'm not
Is
sure
that-
if the
yeah,
insurance
you don't
company
agree
would
with
send a
that?
letter out to any additional insured to inform them that the policy is no longer in effect.
Just that- that's
I
what
mean,
it was.
well, I'm just saying, I've had the same insurance company for 29 years, so it's never occurred to me. But I'm thinking that, because I've seen in other places where, if your policy gets canceled and you're listed as an additional insured, the insurance company, not the school, will send you a letter. So
Saying that
let's
you
find
no
out if
longer
that's
insured.
how it works. I'm
We
not
have to
sure.
find it out.
That's how it works
We're
with
not
the
sure they're
bonds,
getting.
too.
Yeah,
They're
all
not
right.
gonna
So
renew
then
somebody's
once a year is
bond.
enough?
Is that what they're getting?
But
No, we
make
believe it's
sure
for
that
always,
when
for the
we
whole
send
year.
out the
For the whole year.
application, or
That's
we
what
tell
they
them,
want.
that it is
We're
their
approving.
responsibility to provide us with a new certificate of insurance should they change carriers during the course
That's
of the year.
fine. I'm fine
Put the onus on them so that we are,
We'll
Right.
amend the
Covered.
application and
Say that.
to include that.
Thank you.
okay.
No problem.
Tom?
Yes.
Together with that, I had one more item that I don't see is actually on here, and that was with regard to the registrar's office, if I can for a moment.
The fees.
The fees, right. I had a very good, as I get to the end of the year, I do a luncheon with my liaisonship departments. I do a purchasing, I did it with clerk's office, and I did it with the registrar's office. That's why I got to hear from them firsthand what the issues are to the liaisonships. And we had a great meeting with the registrar's office. One of the things I mentioned, as we know, a couple of years back, when Kimball closed its maternity ward, we lost about $50,000 in revenue due to the fact that we no longer do birth certificates. Hopefully, the birthing center might open, and then we'll pick that up. But as of now, we don't really do too many birth certificates in Lakewood. However, death certificates, due to the Leah's Funeral Home, are pretty high. However, the funeral homes are not utilizing Lakewood Registrar Office for the documents, and the reason is they get it cheaper from the state. So if we would just lower our fees a little bit, we'll make more money, because then they'll utilize us. And the way the fee structure works is as follows. Our current fee structure here in Lakewood Township is $10 certified copy. The funeral homes typically will order 10 copies. So for them, if they order in Lakewood, it'll be $100. The way the state works is first copy is $25, but every additional copy is $2. So if we go ahead and mimic our fee structure just for the death certificates, it will cost less per death certificate, but we'll make more money because then the funeral home will utilize us.
That makes
And
sense.
even if we have to mail them to them, it's Lakewood to Lakewood, it takes one day, or the funeral home can come in and get them.
You know what it's all about, the money.
So are we saying that we're gonna raise the fee for the first, or we're gonna maintain it at 10 and then lower the fee for the
I
additional?
think one of your workers, they had a very good idea. Leave the fee the same by saying $20 for the first two, so you're actually keeping it the same. Because right now, we charge $10, we charge
Complicating it.
Yeah, I know. So we could
This
either
way
do
they
it.
think they're getting a
Yeah,
deal.
Right.
$20
We could,
for the first one.
$20 for the first one, and let's make a calculation. If it's $20 for the first, yeah, there you go. Let's make it $20 for the first one and $2 every additional.
So we're undercutting the state,
Well,
so
undercutting
people
the
will come
state.
here to die, so we
People-
can get a better deal on it.
There we go.
Right, because we even figured out how much we would pay for the paper, because it has to go on that special
Right, we pay-
paper.
we only
It's
pay
like
the-
$73
first
for
and-
20
500
for the first,
sheets.
each additional copy would be
So,
two.
we're
All right,
definitely,
but that, obviously, it needs an
Yeah, I'm
ordinance.
surprised we
Yes.
can't do any of this electronically these days, but
that's.
state law, I know.
Yeah,
Keeping the paper companies in business.
that's right.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Any
Fine.
concerns?
I'll just tell you, most folks get more than one.
Correct.
Right, that's what,
That's
what we're doing.
that's
That's
why
what we're
we're,
saying.
we're doing it like
Yeah.
this. All right,
Most
so
folks get between a half
we're gonna
dozen
raise our
and-
first fee to 20, but we're gonna reduce the fee for additional copies to
To
2.
two.
Right.
Is that a resolution or an ordinance?
Ordinance. Anytime you.
All right, so let's get going on that
I got
for,
the notes on it, yeah.
okay.
You want that then, birth certificates?
No, just death certificates.
Just estimated, it's okay.
Well, what about birth, since we do
We
have a
don't-
potential birthing center coming to town?
But no
Doesn't
one
have
orders
to-
10 copies of birth certificates. You order 10 copies of
Right.
death certificates for the insurance company for this.
Right, you may
Okay,
come
I
in
got-
and
I got
order
you. I-
two
Yeah,
as a
birth, you
parent.
order one, and you're good
Yeah,
to go.
Yeah, okay, got it.
All right, next on the thing is, public schools, we want to move that to executive session. So we're going to number 12. Typical sections, Mayor, because this is one I couldn't get.
Typical sections.
That's what you just discussed.
That's what I just discussed. Hold on.
You had it, because.
That was
had
the
it-
Route
the
80,
first one
that was
was.
the ordinance for the
No,
the
this
right
is
of way.
it. That's what I just discussed. So what was the first one?
Traffic study county.
Hold on. Stand, please, everybody
There
stand.
was no paper for that one. No, I know that it was the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Want to do it again, man?
No,
Go through
let's do it
so
again,
I
but
get
do
the
it
notes
differently
right.
this time.
It's the same thing.
We'll come up with a different answer at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
All right, so this is for what? Which number then? That we already
That was
did?
12 and...
9.
9. 9 and 12 were
Okay.
the same subject.
You tricked me on that one.
It was the same thing. Oh, I know why. I didn't color code it when I sent it.
You called it two
Exactly.
different things.
All right, next one is housing authority.
Guys, I need a
Yeah.
decision. We have a shortage of commissioners on the Housing Authority. The governor still has not deemed to appoint the governor's appointment
Okay.
after over a year. Tom, if you would, I think we should have a copy of it on file to request a governor appoint. I forget, who was it, Ellie Brenner?
No, the governor appointment was, not Ellie Renner. Ellie Renner he wants the governor appointment. He's not on the housing authority yet.
Right,
He
well, the
was
governor's
asking-
appointee is gone. We requested that he be appointed a year ago.
And he was not, right, he was not appointed. We asked for Renner to be appointed. We did it through Senator Singer's office. We could ask them through that
All right, so
again.
check with Senator Singer's office and ask if they would resubmit that request. All right, we do have a couple other commissioners who are a little bit,
Rusty.
well, not rusty, but
Lax.
lax on their attendance, thank you. But what we do need to do is the resident appointment.
Okay.
The resident commissioner is somebody that should be a resident of public housing. I went back to the Housing Authority, I asked them about this, and they said the technicality is that, yes, you could probably have somebody there, but we already have representation of Section 8 landlords and tenants on the board, that the public housing commissioner is somebody that comes within the public housing sphere, which is a little bit different than a voucher holder. And that a lot of the folks in the building feel that they want, buildings, I should say, feel that they do want representation on the board for their concerns. They feel that somebody who's a voucher holder, while there's no difference technically between them, has not got the day-to-day concerns and experiences that somebody who lives in public housing.
Do we have any voucher holders on the board now?
I believe so, yeah. I don't have the names in front of me. But all I'm saying
Do
is.
we have
they-
any
they
residents on the board now?
Just resigned, because I think,
And that's the position you're looking to fill?
correct. So they put a name forward, I will submit it to the committee. All I'm saying is, if there's a concern about any one individual, and you have another name to recommend, I'm all ears. What I need to do is fill this spot, because they cannot do their business without a quorum. We all know what it's like to get a quorum problem in some of our boards. This is very important, we need to address it soon. So I will email the letters that I got out to everybody, and
Could you
please,
verify if there's a voucher holder on it as well?
I'll ask you. Okay? That's it for now.
All right, last one is zoning. Someone had me put that on there. I don't know what that's about. And the phone remembers.
Who asked you? I asked you to put it on? I see where he's looking at me.
I don't remember what it was, to be honest with you.
I asked you to put it on, zoning?
I didn't say you did. I looked at it to see if you
anybody.
were.
I'm just saying, someone told me to put it on, and I did, and.
Well, one thing I asked you to put on, you put on twice.
Or maybe this is the same thing again.
Yeah, who knows? You put it on 3 times.
Let me see, Tom, it's been a crazy week.
I have no idea.
Okay, maybe that's, I don't know. All right,
Okay, that's fine.
well, that's all I have. We need to.
Yeah, Mayor, it's about
All right, we need to go into executive.
Well, are any of these property requests open session?
Yeah, number one is.
All right, let's do any of this,
No, no,
any of the
no.
property requests that fall under open session. Let's get them done and out of the way, because if we finish executive session, we're not coming back in to do more business.
Which one are you at?
1 and 3 will be discussed now, and that is in the green folder, or, no,
More,
in the
more.
maroon.
All these fancy colors.
Can't we just get red, blue, and yellow folders?
You're getting too dated.
Actually, this is my company
Steve,
color,
Steve,
so I should
Steve.
like this.
I have a question. Sure. If we're gonna be speaking about
Who is this?
prices for these properties that we're doing.
Price negotiation goes into closed. I don't know what the subjects are, but I went over the list with Tom today. So if we're gonna discuss how much we're gonna charge people, that's
At this
a closed
point, we're
session.
just going to take the requests. If people are looking for us to sell, we can make the decision if we want to sell it. And then if we need to come up with a negotiating strategy for the sale, that would be closed. But
That's
the
correct.
initial
Got it.
request is open.
Yeah. All right, property number 1, you have 3 different block and lots. This guy has been sending me requests for probably 2 years. He's looking to build 1 house.
So these are contiguous lots, is that what you're saying?
Well, and they're not, I don't know if they're contiguous or not, but, you know, he's just looking for he just wants to build a single-family home. That's it. And if you go to the back one, there's a block 852, lot 1.0.
But in order to build on either of these two lots, he'd have to put the road in.
Oh, thank you very much.
That would be up to him.
On that table over there, please.
We'll have a couple of minutes before we go into executive.
But the last one's probably a better one.
Why don't I remember this discussion about the property next to the Evergreen Cemetery a couple of times?
Which one are you on? Which one? 1, 2, or 3?
They're on one.
Oh, I do remember it. Yes. Evergreen Cemetery that was for, Tom, that was for Head Start, the whole story with Head Start.
Which one was this?
One of the ones near Evergreen Cemetery.
That was Head Start?
Yeah. I don't recall which one offhand.
Oh, Evergreen on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
on
on
the north
Cedar
side,
Bridge,
yeah,
on Cedar
right,
Bridge,
right,
that's
right,
right.
Minaj, which one would that be?
I don't know offhand, but
Well,
one of them was earmarked for Head Start to put up a building.
Let me explain what we're talking about. While we're talking about Head Start, we're back. We have a new director that is here. Ted Gooding's gone. He
Ted
can't find
Ted Gooding left.
He can't find his funding, and we're back looking at putting up a 2- or 3-story building encompassing all the Head Start groups together.
Do we own the property on East 8th Street, or does the Head Start own that
You
property?
own the property.
So the township, so this is a story in a nutshell, real fast. Years back, I used to be on the board of Head Start or somehow or other, and I know Mike is there as well, so I have a little bit of knowledge on this. We own a property on East 8th Street.
That's correct.
This property currently houses the Head Start. The neighborhood on that block had come to us numerous times to have the Head Start leave the area, brings a lot of traffic in, et cetera, et cetera. At the time, the thought was that Head Start they were in modular trailers that were really in need of total disrepair. The thought was at that time, we would let them build a brand-new building on this site, and then we would sell, I guess, the other side, do whatever we want with the other site.
You do whatever you want.
Exactly, that was the thought. So this is where that was at.
So which block would this?
Right, so I don't know it's one of these two, and I don't know which exact one it is.
Oh, the first page.
Well, Mike, are they
Yes.
still thinking about doing that?
Yes, we're.
All right, so let's do
Trying to
this
get over
then.
this hump that I talked to you about before,
Right.
and then I'm
All right, so
asking
these
for a
two,
meeting
so
with
these
you.
two yellow stars, no.
Well, do you need both of them or one of them?
No,
They're
I
not
just-
contiguous.
I just need one.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, he only wants to buy one lot to build one house for himself.
Oh, hang on, this is not.
It seems to me that
No.
we're talking about the same
Oh,
property.
I'm so sorry.
Property would be landlocked.
I'm so sorry, time out. Wrong property, this is not it.
Yeah, I was on
You
it.
can't
Yeah,
build
my
it.
mistake.
I was gonna say,
My
it's gonna be
mistake. This is
landlocked.
not, yeah, this is not, my mistake, I stand corrected.
You gotta
I stand
read the
corrected.
map.
I stand corrected. I read it wrong. I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
I
I
just-
mixed up
I-
Evergreen with the cemetery on Cedar Bridge. I heard the
Yeah,
word.
there's a cemetery.
The
in
cemetery, I
Cedar
forgot,
Bridge,
something lawn, something Everlawn or Green Lawn or something or other. Okay,
Forest lawn.
yeah, forgive me.
Evergreen is Stony Hill, isn't it?
This is the other one, this is the one at the end of Spruce.
That's Stony Hill.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was, but.
You must have clients in all over now.
Yes.
And he'd have to improve the road himself
Family, I don't think,
for both of these.
this block, the people living on the block are very passionate about keeping it single family. So if it goes up for single family, I guess it makes sense.
What do you want, duplex
No,
or
but I don't
single
know,
family?
I wouldn't want.
I think he's got to
It's a
explain
block
what he
with
wants
the
to
huge
do. I
lots.
agree with,
And I wouldn't want, I don't know, I would want to respect the neighborhood, there's a bunch
I
of
agree.
huge lots, all single family.
I want to respect every neighborhood, I agree with you.
Yeah.
What's your question? What'd you say, Isaac? Sorry, I didn't hear.
The neighborhood would not be happy if we changed the
What about the
character
back page
of the
with
the
that
neighborhood.
one lot there?
and
I think
allow
that
them
is
to
the
do
one
anything
he's-
other than-
Who's making this
He's
request?
talking about.
Huh?
This is the one you're talking about with the
Oh,
large
yeah,
lots.
They're both the same area, yeah, it's,
Yeah,
but it's the same
a little bit
block.
further
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Well, guys, what do you think? I mean, I haven't been in favor of selling township property for residential until after the whole master plan thing is done.
Okay.
I've always supported for schools and nonprofits, but if it's a single-family house, one, and that's what he wants to build, and the committee wants to consider it, we can consider it.
Well, I think-
it would still go to public auction.
Oh, yeah, of course, I mean,
Yeah.
that's regardless, but,
Well,
I mean, to take Isaac's concern about the character of the
Exactly.
neighborhood, how do we guarantee that if we put this, lot that's a different, larger size up?
then he goes for a variance, then we're in trouble.
You can do whatever you want with the ordinance. Actually, I believe, Harold, correct me on this, you could say it has, I know in some areas in Tom's River, there's a minimum square footage of like 2,500, 3,000 feet, so you can control the square footage in the
Yeah,
ordinance.
but we're trying to control splitting and
Well, the same
subdividing.
thing,
You
put
could
that
say
in
that
the
it can't be
ordinance.
subdivided, or,
Yeah, the successful bidder is not permitted to subdivide the property. You can do whatever you
Deed
want.
restricted that way, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What's, did he ever tell you, he's been in contact with you, has he told you what he wants to put there?
Yeah, he wants to build a single-family home for himself. And like I said, he's been 2 years, he sends me all the time, we say no, I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to sell our property, and so.
I believe I know I've done this in other places, we've sold lots where we say you're not permitted to
What
put a
changed,
structure.
what changed now? What happened over the last 2 years that you said no, and now you brought it to us? What changed?
Well, no, he's come up with different blocks and lots.
Oh, I got it.
That we haven't, we said, not this one, not that one.
Got it.
Or,
You mean he wasn't requesting the specific one?
No.
And my suggestion, Mayor, is that you have Tom contact him with the deed restrictions that you want to put in, and see if he's willing to accept those deed restrictions as a condition of the sale.
but before I raise his hopes on that, does the committee have the inclination to sell one of these 3 lots?
Well, why wouldn't you sell, I'm just trying to understand, why, if we own property on a block of single-family houses, and this property is and I don't know if it is, but if it's basically the same size as all the other properties, and they're gonna build another single-family house there, why,
That's why I don't want to say
I would
why I'm
think so.
entertaining it, but
You're gonna
I'm
build a single-
entertaining it because it came before
if it's
us.
gonna be a single-family house, and it's gonna put the property back onto the tax rolls, and it's gonna address, I
It's not
guess,
going
Isaac's
to
concern, I don't know
detract from
why.
the character of the neighborhood. Okay, so that's what I'm asking. I mean, I asked, I didn't hear anybody say yes.
I don't think, you have an issue with it, Isaac?
As a single family lot, as a single family.
Manash,
Well,
you okay with it? With one of the 3, if he accepts our
Say yes.
restrictions?
yes.
All right, get back to him, tell him that, as long as he's willing to accept
Deed restrictions
the
on
deed
it.
restriction, that it has to be a single,
Yeah.
how did you want to
No
put it?
sub- No subdivisions.
No subdivisions and a single,
One structure, one unit, one house, one dwelling unit only.
no pool houses or anything?
Right, that's the
Sprinkler system.
What is that
That's
zoned
what
out
we
there,
found.
Isaac, do you know?
Yeah, that's the most
And
important.
what is this lot
40,000 water
size, is
use.
this lot?
It's an acre.
Okay.
Read the first.
I actually have one.
I'm for it.
Read the first one.
Okay, so Tom, if you want to get in touch with him, see if he says yes to that. Does anybody have a concern about any of these 3 lots? Should we let him come back to us with which one he wants to purchase?
Did engineering look at these, Ray?
I'm
That's
not,
the next
I'm not
question.
convinced, by the way, that he's
Well,
gonna,
I think the first 2 he may have to put in a road.
Yeah, it's according to this, he does,
But
so.
with the other one on Spruce, I don't think he does.
Well, let's also put then that, he would be
Let's go with this
responsible.
one first. This is the easiest one to do. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
No, you don't have to, no, if you happen to have one. If you don't have one, regular speed system, then you have to do this. If you have a smart controller, then it's this. I put it
Tom,
on
if he does, you have an appraiser in mind?
Yeah.
He knows what,
Well, no, we'll use.
Well, we just did the reval, and from my understanding is the reval can be used as the appraised value for the first
I
6
thought we're not
to
supposed
12
to
months.
discuss price and open.
I'm not, I'm just saying
Something like that, yeah.
about hiring
I'll
an
check.
appraiser, so.
All right, the next one is number 3. If you go to the back page, there's the letter we
I'm on board
received.
with this, if that's what the neighborhood wants. Smart growth plan puts it out for public use. I would say
one is
using
this?
it for, it looks like
Oh,
someone wants to use it for a
okay,
synagogue.
this one came to us already, this is the story with this. This came to us last meeting. Last meeting, we decided to go ahead with it. Then what happened was the individual called up Steve and said, Steve, instead of buying it, can we lease it? And Steve said, no, it's either buy it or that's it, and that's why he came back.
Right.
That's simple.
We're good there?
We're good then, we're good for the
Okay.
sale.
Yeah, but 1 second.
Now,
Whoa,
is that gonna-
whoa, 1 second.
Yeah.
We're putting it out as deed restricted or not deed restricted?
Non-profit.
Not profit use.
Okay.
They wanted me to limit it more than I was legally allowed to be limited.
He said no. Good.
Nonprofits, we can't do it for other.
So we'll put it on for first reading.
Tom, what happened to the discussion about the park we want to build over by Prospect and Mass?
I couldn't get, Ed couldn't make it, so I put it off to the 13th. Oh, it's better to have him here because he put the whole thing together, and
There's another park by affordable housing. There's a piece of property that affordable housing bought from the town, and the intention is to make a park.
Right.
In the end, Irv explained to them that we have funds for park, we can't build a park on your property. They may just give it back to the town. So-
Well, yeah, we'll work that. We have to make sure we have the funds, because
Well, they're
we did
planning
get our
on
allocation for
duplex,
next year
is that
from
correct?
HUD, so that's a good thing.
That's a good sign, more or less the same.
No, that's
About the same. A little bit less,
Thank
but
you.
it's better than the zero I was expecting. Listen, does anybody else have any other open session items they'd like to discuss before we go downstairs? It's our last chance.
Oh, yeah, I see there, okay.
All right, can I have a motion to go into closed session?
So made.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No, I was gonna say, help yourself. No, no,
I'm leaving.
He wants to video us eating.
No, it's not even on.
no, I am more than